Good evening, everybody, and welcome to my presentation this evening, which is about the Horse Hill oil drilling site and the conflict with local residents and local environmental groups. Here we are at Horse Hill. As you can see, it's in the heart of leafy Surrey, in an area known as the Weald Basin. In 2010, a company called Magellan Petroleum UK submitted a planning permission for an exploratory well site to drill a borehole. The planning permission was finally granted at the end of 2012, and in 2014, a consortium called Horse Hill Developments Limited started drilling for oil here. An environmental group called Frack Free Surrey started to protest at the site. Frack Free Surrey claim that the environmental impact outweighs the benefits of drilling for oil. Aside from the obvious issues with fossil fuels and climate change, they also are worried about more wells being drilled, increase in the site size, gas flaring, increased noise. There were also concerns about increased levels of HGV traffic around the area, that it might have an effect on property prices locally, but also issues surrounding fracking, the effect on water supplies, also the acidization of the soil and the water table around, and also earthquakes. The consortium, for their part, deny that there will be damage of a kind alleged by Frack Free Surrey, and have issued a document called Facts About Horse Hill, which tries to allay some of the fears that are raised. However, in August 2018, matters escalated when 10 protesters were arrested for blocking the traffic around the site. The consortium obtained a High Court injunction preventing them from protesting at the hill, and up to that point the main conflict had been between the protesters and the consortium. However, in February of this year, local people found themselves literally woken up to the problem when at 4:45 in the morning on the 27th of February, an earthquake shook the whole area. Compared to earthquakes we see internationally, it was small, 3.3, but for people around here, it was a shock. Local residents finally started taking more of an interest. The consortium is currently seeking planning permission for 5 new boreholes, and there have been over 1,000 objections to that planning permission.
In this area, communities have got to come together because we don't want back-to-back oil wells in the Weald. Producing a small quantity of oil and giving a big profit to a few people. We need to leave the oil in the ground, look to renewables for our energy source.
At our practice module in Winchester, I really couldn't see how this could be resolved. I was pessimistic about there ever being common ground between the actors. The consortium has money to make. Carbon fuels production is national government policy. The protesters won't ever accept that oil production is the right thing to do, and local residents can't be expected to accept anything that could potentially adversely affect the environment. I had a vague idea that somehow Surrey County Council, who find themselves in the middle of all this, might be the mediators between the factions, but still couldn't see a way through. It was when we learned about envisioning that I suddenly gained some insight. Envisioning is a process by which actors focus on a desired outcome sometime in the future, usually around 20 years. Stakeholders in the conflict are encouraged to focus on a vision of the future that is expressed in a way that incorporates the aspirations of people on both sides, recognises that individual futures are interdependent, and sees participants as the creators of that future. Mari Dugan developed an 11-step programme which started with individual actors specifying their goal vision for the future, then working backwards through a variety of steps involving individuals and groups. It's a long-term strategy, but one that allowed me to see a way forward that might work for my local conflict. I was able to imagine a world where corporations were repurposed to produce green energy, where the government understood that we were running out of time and that fossil fuels were best kept in the ground. In short, I was able to imagine Horse Hill moving from this to this. And I realised it was possible to bring people together and find a solution that everyone would be happy with. By applying Mary Dugan's envisioning and backcasting method, it helped me to see that a resolution is possible even in what seems on the surface to be a completely intractable conflict. Thank you for listening. Any questions? Oh, and I almost forgot. Thank you to all these organisations I've been able to glean information from, but a special thanks to my son Peter, who I dragged out of the house to do some filming for me.